Hello. All right, I am making this video for you all because I wanted to share a couple things with you. Um, Earlier this year, it was actually in January, I adopted kind of a new way of my evening regimen, very intentionally, which really kind of changed my life. I wanted to share that with you, what that looked like. And also, it's when I started really kind of being in a space of art and creating art, which was very different for me in the evening. And so I'd like to share with you the way that I make certain art. So I'm going to show you toward the end of this film how I make art in the evening. And I've been doing it consistently, making drawings, and I'll show you what they look like right now. So this is one of them. These are drawings that are very easy for you to make. If you just look at it, you can quickly judge it as it's too difficult for you to do, and any single person can do it right now with no special skills whatsoever. All you need is a pen, a straight edge, and no left brain activity enough to draw lines and just be in silence for a while. That's it. Nothing special, and you can make different patterns. Here's some of the other ones that I've made. Just by assembling the lines in a different way. Another drawing that I did. My first one that I really was excited about, it was very artistic. Here's another one. I was rather quick of showing you that, but I gotta get to this one. This one was super cool. You can see that? Every single line is a straight line. It looks like you're making curves, but actually it's straight lines. Anyway, let me start with, it just made sense to me that rather than spend my evening in the same sort of mental state of mind, whether that be, all the work that I had been completing for the day or whatever things were going on in my life, things that I had thought a lot about, different stuff related to business, that it would be good to take a break from that in the evening and really just be in more of a space of silence. I wanted to be more in a creative space intentionally to see how that would impact my life, and I tried it many nights in a row to see what would happen, and I started recognizing great benefit in my life almost immediately. So I kept it up for some time, and now I just got back to that habit. Ever since we've been on this lockdown, I haven't been doing it, and I'm recreating that balance that I had started earlier this year. So it was turning on classical music in the evening, being in a relaxing state of mind, and classical music tends to inspire creativity in me, and then just being more in silence in that way, other than having soft music that's kind of inspires you creatively. And then once I would draw for a while, then I would get some really good rest. I might take a warm tea that's for sleeping. I would do that regularly, and then I would sleep really well, because it made sense to me that if I got really good rest and I slept really well, then the chances are that my body would be able to take care of itself much more than it would if I didn't take care of it. And the bottom line, if we're being honest, we carry a great deal of stress throughout the day, and we don't really make enough time for ourselves other than maybe working out, and we think that that's our balance. But let me be clear about something. Working out is also pressuring you and stressing you out. It's stressing your muscles, and you break them down, you beat them up, but what are you doing to relax? Now for some time I've had a regimen of all sorts of ways of relaxing and meditating. Now meditation takes many forms. People think of meditation and they think you're going to sit in silence in a blacked out room or with your eyes covered and you're not going to have any thoughts by force. This is not what meditation is. That's a simple version of not understanding what it is. But today's meditation for many people might look like riding your bike with your headphones on. It's kind of hard to think in that environment, and you're just kind of outside of your typical regimen. For me, this is a space of meditation in the evening, but other parts of my regimen would include getting a massage, going to acupuncture sessions regularly, There's a space of silence for 30 minutes, at least 40 minutes, while I have needles in me when I go to acupuncture. It could look like anything. But when we sleep, it just makes sense that your body is able to really rest, relax, and repair itself. So this is what sleep is for. It's not for trying to count 8 hours. And that's the way we tend to think of it when we're just busy all the time, beating up our body and not taking care of it. So it just made sense to me that if I eat good food and I drink good water, and I'm not talking about other beverages, water being the staple beverage. Other beverages are great if you want to enjoy them, but water being a staple. And I put my body in a state of being able to really rest well at night. And this just made sense to me to stop the left brain activity and to mulling over all the thoughts that I have throughout the day, that I would be in a better position to perform. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. And then the first thing I would do when I would wake up from that deep rest is I would get into another journal and write immediately the first 1 or 2 things that I was grateful for. So that was how my regimen would be. Right before I would go to bed, I would get into a space of silence and creativity. I would rest really well because of that. And then I would wake up and write in a journal about what I'm grateful for, or 2 things, which would set the tone for the day. Before I touch my phone, before I look at social media, before I would answer the phone from somebody who's been trying to reach me, if they're doing that in the morning, immediately I would get up, write what I was grateful for before I would do any of that stuff. And I would have a space of silence before I would start my day. So anyway, I wanted to let you know and give you that insight about what has really made a massive impact in my life. I've been in such a great place of balance, and largely it was because of that time that I was taking to myself. Very important regimen for balancing out my life instead of being in a great deal of stress all the time. So now I'm going to show you real quick how you can make these beautiful drawings and start doing it immediately. You just need a straight edge, like I said, and basically you're going to go down. I have grid paper, so this notebook is made up of a bunch of squares everywhere. Instead of lines, you have linear notebooks. This one is a grid, right? Like this is another grid where it's got these squares everywhere. So they're equal, mathematically perfect squares, right? So every page is made up exactly that way. And you can pick these up at the supermarket or art supply store. I'm wondering if art supply stores are open right now, because right now we need more art and music than we ever have. This is the time to get involved in arts. So anyway, what you do is you go in your grid paper and you make an equal amount of lines down or across to start. That might be 10, that might be 15. So basically I'm gonna take my grid, I'm gonna do a dot in ink, or a pencil would be fine. I just use an ink myself because I just go to the next one rather than trying to erase it and keep going. But say 10 lines, 12 lines, 15 lines down, and then across this way. So you start at a point and you go down with this many dots and you go across with this many dots. And they're equal dots now. And you have exactly as many horizontally as you do vertically. Once you've done that, you go to that center dot that starts the vertical amount of dots, or starts the horizontal, and then you count over 1 and you go to the first or the last dot on your vertical line. So basically take your straight edge and you combine the first dot over to the final dot of the vertical line. You do the second dot over to the second to the last dot on the vertical line. And this is what it looks like. And eventually it ends up, when you keep making these straight lines, it ends up making a curve. And the curve is what it looks like. It's all curves everywhere, but in fact all the curves are made with straight lines. So let me know what you think about that. I hope this gives you some inspiration on how you can end your day and how you can immediately start making beautiful drawings without being creative at all. And then you can start assembling these forms in different ways and starting to be creative in a very simple way, a medium to create art. So anyway, good night, y'all. I'm gonna get ready for bed now.